because my friend Revs, the one that brought me to this app, is gonna be my first guest in this app. So I'm really excited. First, I'm gonna talk about a little bit about what is this going to be, um, and yeah, to give you some information. I'm nervous. I'm gonna admit it. This is my first time broadcasting in hubs, and I know this is a big deal for me. But I'm gonna explain. I've been doing inspiring interviews with people from all over the world with different stories and experiences on Instagram Live for a month. But finally, I'm just making this show bigger, and I'm so excited about. So the show is gonna be about knowing and discovering new stories and new experiences from other people with the goal of inspiring and motivating and get to know more about some topics. And the interviews are going to be in Spanish and English, so I need público español. Bienvenidos a todos a mi canal, a mi nuevo show de entrevistas que inspiran. Aquí vais a poder descubrir diferentes historias de diferentes personas con el fin de motivar, ayudar y conocer un poquito más sobre algunos temas sociales o científicos o cualquier tipo de tema. Las entrevistas van a ser en inglés y en español y nada, si tenéis alguna duda o tenéis una historia que queráis compartir, simplemente me tenéis que mandar un correo o DM me. Oh my God! Thank you, Mark. I'm so excited. So yeah, I'm gonna start. Okay. So since it's my first interview on Hubs, I am really excited to announce that my first guest is gonna be Revs. I think most part of you know him. He's an amazing person. Hey, Mark, thank you so much for the award. I really appreciate it. And I have to tell the story. So he is the guilty of why I'm here. Okay, he is the one that brought me to this app right when I was like, okay, I've been 1 month doing Instagram Lives interview. I think I wanna expand this and get to more people, and I wasn't able to figure out how to do it. And Reps came to my life and told me, what about Hubs? And what about this platform that you can live stream in different places? And well, he has been helping me and motivating me and telling me, girl, you got this. Introducing me to really cool people. So I'm so excited to have him today. And thank you, Revs. I'm going to say it, we've been 2 hours before this interview on a phone call. Revs, thank you. Oh my God, you're the best. So we've been on a phone call trying to figure out how to live stream in different platforms, how to do it, how to start. So Revs, thank you so much. I'm going to introduce you now. Please join. Yay.
Hey there.
Hi.
Hi, Anna.
How are you? Well,
I'm good. I'm good. You know, I'm on your show. It's fun. I'm your first guest, so I'm honored.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I like 2 weeks ago, I wasn't expecting being on this platform. I didn't even know this platform, so I'm really excited again. I don't know, I'm nervous, and I'm just
Well,
so excited to have you here.
Do you have any acting training at all?
If I have it before?
Yeah, like, like a breathing exercise or something? Like,
yeah, the box.
Or something like that?
The box exercise, yeah.
Do a little, just relax yourself.
I don't know right now if I can.
All right, well, just breathe slow, slow and steady. Wins the race. You'll be fine. There you go.
I just want everyone to enjoy this show.
Oh, they will.
And I want everyone to feel inspired by the different stories that I'm going to be sharing here. Again, the interviews are going to be Spanish and English. So I need to get people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. So Revs, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing me to this platform. This is awesome. I'm in love. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, let's see. My friend and colleague, Dr. Dominica McBride, always starts her, whenever somebody says, like, tell us your story. And she's really cute. She's like, well, we're going to start a couple of generations back. in Haiti. So I'm going to start 5 generations back in Scotland when my no. So my tell me a little bit about me. I'm an activist. I am a dad. I'm an artist. I am a consultant. Done a little entrepreneurship. I like to talk. I'm a host. I'm a good friend.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just a dude. Just a guy.
Well, just a guy with a really, really inspiring story that I want you to share with me and with the world, because I think can help many, many, many people. So let's
Mhm.
start from the beginning. You've been homeless for part of your life,
Mhm.
right? Well, for how long?
Well, I think the whole homeless journey was about a year, but on the street, you know, homeless that way was about 5 months where I was, staying in shelters and stuff. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah, he is.
so yeah, about
Wow.
5 months living in shelters on the street. I never had to sleep on the street. There was always a shelter available to me in the Chicago area where I was. I did spend a few nights when I couldn't get in the shelter because they were over capacity. I did spend a few nights in like a friend's basement or something. And I mean, they would have let me stay inside, but you know what I mean? Like I just once you become homeless, it's hard to be social. Um,
Yeah.
you don't want to be a burden on somebody else. So, I'm just like, just let me crash in your bed. I don't used to that. And I did spend at least once, if not twice, having to stay up in the emergency room of a hospital. So you could either like, if you had a little money, you could jump on the train and go to the airport, or you could just pop into an ER at a hospital and they would make you stay awake because they wouldn't let you sleep. But if you stayed awake, they'd let you stay inside and be warm. So I did that maybe once or
Really?
twice. Yeah, in Chicago anyway, we could do that. So
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And how long ago was that? Was this?
well, I became homeless on December 26, 2010.
Wow.
Yes, 2010. 2010.
Wow. So 11 years ago. Okay. What would
Mhm.
you used to do before uh, being homeless, and what brought you to this situation?
Wow. You know what? I've been an activist my whole life. And Mark has a good question there, kind of the same question. Was there a specific event that led you becoming homeless? Yeah, I will definitely address that. Um, I have been a professional photographer. I have managed car dealerships. I've
Oh,
run statewide campaigns and offices for the Ohio Public Interest Research Group. I've run um, campaigns for Greenpeace. Um, I've done a lot. I've done a little bit of everything, and we moved a lot when I was a kid. Every couple of years, so I kind of got a job every couple of years, and that was just kind of in my blood. And actually, the nonprofit that I'm affiliated with now that I helped to start, I've been there for 8 years, which I think is the longest I've ever been in one place. Though now I'm just a consultant for them and on their board. But yeah, specific event. Well, I'm bipolar. I have ADHD. I have, with bipolar, you definitely have issues around depression. But
mhm.
I didn't know I was depressed or that I have bipolar or that I have ADHD until after I was homeless. And there's a story there too. But the specific event, it's kind of a series of events. It's like it's kind of like an epiphany. You think it happens at once, but the fact of the matter is, it's a slow build, right? A slow burn to getting to that place. So there's definitely a day that turned me to the street, but really building up to that, I'd been married for 17 years. I have a lovely, well, no, we were married for 10 and lived together before that for about 6 or maybe 7. And so we'd been together for 17 years, but our marriage was over probably when we got married because we'd been
Hmm.
together for so long. I mean, I think we're still friends. We're not great friends, but we were really good friends. That we kind of got jumped into a relationship, which apparently I'm pretty good about it. And let me slow down a bit. Because I've been high energy lately, so let me slow down.
Take your
And
time. You can breathe.
yeah,
Breathe exercise.
so I was working as a photographer, doing pretty well, and we're kind of at this point in our marriage where it's just become obvious that it's over. Um, that was a couple of years prior to this, you know what I mean? Like, and so then you got to figure out, have the courage to understand that it's over, have the strength to try to separate. It's hard to separate. You're dependent on each other. You've got, in our case, you got two incomes, and how does all that get taken, apart. So, it was a slow process to kind of ending it. But at the at the core, at that point, we were both lonely, and not at all happy. So this was the early days, I think, of can't even remember. I think maybe there was OK Cupid or something. I don't know. I think there was a dating app, but that was probably what it was. And I mean, I'm lonely. My marriage is ending, but I'm still married, and so I'm swiping on people. Or I don't even think you swiped then. I think you had to click something or something. But it was back in the old days of dating. And
Yeah, you have to
yeah,
click.
so I'm clicking, chatting with people. Doesn't I'm not really looking to meet anybody. I mean, I'm just in this dark, lonely place, and then
Yeah.
I click on somebody, and they say hi, and we start talking, and um, if I think most people, I experience it all the time on this app and other apps and in other ways. There's some power to texting and this kind of medium where you can make intense connections quickly. And those connections can last a long time and be very strong. I have a lot of those, but you
Hmm.
can kind of get thrown into a situation pretty quick, especially if you're texting, and you'll be able to like on your first date, right? Well, I mean, some people, like sleep together on their first date. But I mean, most people don't, I think. Probably. I don't know. I haven't asked them, but on, after an hour or two of texting, you can be saying things that you might never say in real life or whatever, I mean, like, you can get really
Yeah.
intimate really quickly with somebody. So, actually in this case, it was actually kind of slow, but the connection was building, and it was intense, and it felt nice. And so I don't know, after a month or something, one of us was like, well, maybe we should, have dinner or something. It was probably me. And yeah, I know it was me because we set it up and she didn't show. And I'm like, okay, well, that's probably good. Like, you're still married.
Hmm.
Let's, you know, just, but I'm going to keep chatting with her.
Probably better. Yeah.
Yeah. So another month go by, and then
You
I
keep
chickened
texting
out to
with
get
her?
together. Huh?
You keep texting after that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
No, we were hooked in the texting. So, I mean, we'd already developed our codependent relationship. Um, so then another month goes by, and, like, I bail out this time, don't even make plans. And then the third month rolls around, and we've been texting a lot about a lot of interesting things that people can do together. And so
Hmm.
um, we're like, screw it. Let's get a hotel room, right? We can't make it to dinner, but, let's go to the hotel. So, we connected as grown-ups can connect, and had a lot of fun. And um, she was She was an actor and a dancer and just absolutely incredibly smart and just somebody that I cared a lot about. So we had this picture perfect heaven and hell kind of relationship because she's bipolar. I'm bipolar, but I don't know it. And we created this codependent relationship. And if anybody's been in them or knows what they're like, when it's good, it's amazing. When it's bad, it's hell. It's bad. So we had this up and down relationship that lasted for about a year. And I mean, I can't even, no reason to go into all of that now. But and I'm perfectly happy to talk about it, but it just would take too much time. I mean, this journey of homelessness, if I don't abridge it, this story is usually can be a couple of hours long. So when I was telling this story like in public and stuff in different events or whatever, it was I could drill it down to about an hour. So I'll try to remember telling it that way. But
No worries.
eventually
We can go for more time.
Yeah.
There's no time limit.
I know it's just weird about me talking about myself for this long. I'm used to talking like, hey, Anna, can I ask you a question?
I know, right? I know. It's so weird.
It is weird. So,
but you're doing great.
Thank you.
I want to take the chance to tell you, like, you don't have to talk about anything that feels uncomfortable for you. I just want to make sure, like, I know that you know that, but I just want to clarify that point. Like, we are here to know everything that you want to share with us and everything that you think can be inspiring for the other people or help, or you just want to share it with the world. So don't feel, and if anytime you need a break, just let me know, because I have so many questions about the dating apps that I want to talk about with you.
About the what?
The dating apps.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a cool conversation too. So if anytime you need a break,
we can always break. Like I was doing with Dr. Hooper today. I would write down what we need to continue talking about, but then we would jump around, So, we can do that. But I just have to say that people in the audience over there, you got to remember what I was talking about, because odds are I'll forget if I start going in another direction. But so I'm in this place, in this relationship, and it's clear that the relationship needs to end. Like,
yes, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Clear the relationship needs to end. And before I talk about that, I want to say this, that I don't want to say I'm 100% transparent on this, because I think there's some personal things that involve other people that I wouldn't want people to know. But on my end, nobody has to be this transparent, but I'm this transparent because I want people to be able to relate at different levels and to see. I mean, what was amazing when I was homeless, there were people that were like, how can a middle-aged, somewhat successful dude be homeless, right? So it would kind of shock them.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much.
So it was clear the relationship needed to end. And so it took a lot of courage. It took a trip to the psych ward at a local hospital where I had been once before when I was 18. And again, that's a kind of a different story, but I was just mentally exhausted, physically and mentally just broken, because this relationship just meant everything to me. And I spent a lot of time and money trying to help her through her issues with bipolar, not having insurance, and trying to keep the relationship going. But it was clear that it was over. And so I called her the night before I went to the hospital, and we both know that this has to happen, and this has to end, and I can't take it anymore. So I'm checking myself into the hospital, and she had tried. Well, she was a prima ballerina in a traveling company out of Boston that she had been touring the world when she was 17 years before, and she rolled her ankle and it ended her dancing career. And that was the first time she tried to kill herself. And so
Oh,
even in the year and a half that we'd been, or year or so, I guess, technically kind of together, um, she probably attempted it at least twice. But I mean, both of those times, it was probably three times. Both of those times, it was clear you do, Quake Girl. I did meet amazing people in the mental hospital, actually. I'm still friends with some of them. And the, um, it was, it was always, it was enough of a cry for help slash, you're miserable. And like I said, I don't want to share her details too much, but just out of respect. But so, but by the time the third one had come around, I kind of knew when it was coming. I could kind of sense her mood and how she would
ups and
act.
downs,
Yeah, her
cycles. Yeah.
right. I could kind of sense something was coming, and I would know she would isolate herself. She'd drop away, and then I would try to get a hold of her, and if that didn't work, this is how complicated all this was. On the third one, when I was really worried, I'm like, I know you guys would be like, what? But I called her boyfriend, and I said, um, yeah, this revolution. I mean, I know you know who I am and everything, but let's not worry about that right now. I can't get a hold of her. And I'm like, would you check? And he didn't say anything, and he hung up the phone and didn't hear anything. And and then I got a call back a little while later, maybe a few hours, and she called and said that she had attempted, and it was probably longer than that, But she called and she got a hold of me or whatever. Um, so that that was the level of pain that she was
And
going through.
stability. Yeah.
No, I'm okay for now. That was the level of pain she was going through, and good God, I've never had a suicidal ideation, but I've always worried about having one. I've always worried about getting to the place where I didn't care anymore about surviving, and then I probably wouldn't. Like there would never be a cry for help for me for suicide. If I were going to do it, I would do it. It'd be done.
Yeah.
I know my personality, so I never want to get there. But I I get out of the hospital. We don't talk, and Valentine's Day rolls around. I mean, I'd been doing good. It was like a couple of months. They didn't text. They didn't call. No email. I was doing good. It was horrible. I was miserable. I was worthless. I couldn't get anything done. I was a wreck, but I
Hmm.
wasn't talking with her. And I caved on the Friday before Valentine's Day. And honestly, it's could have texted her, but I'm pretty sure I probably called her. And she picked up, and I'm like, "Hey," she's like, "Hey." She's like, and Valentine's Day was the next day. It was a Saturday. And I said, "Hey, you want to do something for Valentine's?" And she's like, "Yeah." So we made plans, and long story short, I didn't have time to see any of the signs because I hadn't been around.
Hmm.
And she told me a long time prior to that, part of what I do today is because we both knew that she would succeed someday because she wasn't ultimately just crying out for help. I mean, like many bipolar people, they end up killing themselves. And, I mean, we knew she wasn't going to, that she would eventually succeed. I mean, you just felt it. And, anyway, and she had said to me at some point, so when that happens, just make something, good come out of it. And I'm like, well, it's not going to happen, so we don't have to worry about it. And anyway, she's a no-show, and I'm like, okay, no, this is good. This is good. We, she's realized that we shouldn't get back together. She's doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. I'm not going to text her back. Not going to, say please or anything. I'm just going to let it go. It's a good thing. It's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
But I knew she would text me back, like we're, we're that codependent on each other. There's just no way. She's not going to not text me back, but I'll just wait. And maybe I won't even text her back. Like, haha, like that would have happened. But the next day, Sunday rolls around. And I'm like, okay, wow. Okay, this is good. She didn't text me back. And she so Sunday goes and she's not texting me back. And now I'm in that sorry, I'm moving away from my microphone here. I'm in that self-doubt kind of mood of like, but I mean, I should text her. Like I haven't heard from her, and we had made plans and everything. But I'm like, no, you know what? It's fine. This is good. We're not going to get together. And thanks, Quick Girl. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I'm
thank
going
you.
to give everybody a little bit of a trigger warning here, I suppose. I suppose many of you might know what this is building up to, but seriously, if you're triggered by this kind of stuff, I would just turn the volume down and wait a few minutes. And Anna, are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm
You sure?
getting yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm feeling really inspired so far, and I just want to hear the story, and I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay. And then
As
we'll
far
talk
as
about the
you are
dating app.
okay,
Yeah, I'm fine. And
as
then
far as
I've
you
told
are
this story
okay,
before, so
because
but I
I've been
haven't told
there
it.
too in those situations, so I
Yeah, I
know how
haven't.
hard it is. So
Right. Well, and I know you opened up the other day, and it was great.
hmm.
We appreciate it. And so um, so Monday morning rolls around, and I had a Google alert. I still have one for myself. Um, anytime Revolution McKinnis or whatever comes up, I get a Google alert, and I had this Google alert. It um it had her name. I'm like, oh, cool. She's in a new show or something. I haven't talked to her for a couple of months. She's in a new show, and it opened up, and it was like a blog post or something, and it said her name, and then they started talking about what she had been doing in the theater community and where she come from, from ballet, and started, talking about this stuff like in like the past tense. And I mean,
Hmm.
I I was still living with my wife at the time. I mean, we were in the process of divorce at that point, but I mean, I really didn't have anywhere to go because I'd burned through all the cash I had, and so I'm like, okay, this just can't be real. And the day goes by, and these things are popping up. I mean, she's pretty well known in Chicago, and these alerts are popping up, and it's clear that. Thank you, Patty. You can text the word hello to 741-741 to talk to a live counselor if you are feeling this way. Thank you for sure. If you're
Thank
if
you
you're starting
for
if you're
sharing
starting
that.
to feel some kind of way, thank you, Patty. We should share that on the screen. Actually, I'll do that. So
How you do that?
so if you click on her name and then you go to presenting, it'll put it up there. So
Oh, okay. Thank you.
um so I I went and got my wife, and I'm like, I told her that I'm I don't believe that she's dead, and I'm is a trick. It's like she's give me a reason to, let go of the relationship. I was just in total denial that she could have possibly had killed herself. And
Yeah.
so I don't know how I got, I guess, lucky, but I didn't know what to do. Called some people, and they were like, she is, but there were people that, in my mind would have lied for her if she was trying to pull off this big conspiracy, theory to, make me think, and so I'm like, okay. And I called the morgue, and I said, I just need to check something real quick. I just talked to somebody a little bit earlier. And I said her name. Is she still there? And I hear the rattle through the paper. Oh, and I said her first name. I'm about to say her first name. I'm saying her first name. He's rattling through the paper. And then he says her last name. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. So, I've confirmed it. And from that point, my life was a total train wreck. I mean, I think I probably cried in my room, in my office, every day till April, for a couple of months. I couldn't do anything. And so anyway, by the time summer rolls around, I've been miserable. I'd honestly jumped into a couple of more very not productive, relationships that were just about, satisfaction or, getting over what I'm getting over or whatever, and was doing stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. And and I like the divorce is here. We're going to divorce court. It's over. I can't stay, in who would soon be my ex-wife's house anymore. And I had no money. I hadn't been working. And like I said, I'd eaten all my savings up trying to put her into a cognitive behavioral therapy program at Northwestern, but it wasn't covered by insurance and it was really expensive. And so the only alternative was to go to live with my parents. And I was with my parents from that summer until that winter. And I didn't do anything. I was on the internet. I couldn't get a job. I didn't have a car. I was 50 miles away from the city where I've lived forever. And I was just, it was horrible. And my relationship with my 7-year-old at that time wasn't good. And that wasn't helpful. And so so I became homeless on the 26th, but on the 25th, on Christmas Day, my brother lived at home that time. He's 11 years younger than me. So, and he was a late bloomer. He's married now and has a kid, and he's awesome. He's a great dad and everything. But at that time, he was a little lost too, and he was trying to weave his way out of where he was. And he was really frustrated because, he knew that things weren't going well for me. And I'd kind of gotten into an argument with my mom about something. And not to say that I'm always right, but I was right in this case. And my mom, she was okay with it. But he didn't hear the conclusion that we were both okay with it. He just, thought I was attacking his mom as well as my mom. So he got mad and he physically pushed me. Well, I'm not small. I'm 6'1", think football player, but not as tall and not as in good a shape now. But I mean, if you push me, first of all, you're going to have to be pretty strong. And he's bigger than I am.
Wow.
And if you push me, he pushed me through the drywall, in the house because of the momentum. So he pushed me, not all the way through the wall, but through the wall. And I'm like, okay, that's just not acceptable. I wasn't going to fight back. I wasn't going to make this scene, but like I can't deal with this. So, but my daughter was coming for Christmas, and then we were all going to go to she's my ex sister in law now, but to my sister in law's house for Christmas Day dinner, and I didn't want to disappoint my daughter as all this is blowing up. So I just kind of sucked it up and called my ex-wife and told her what was going on. But I said, when this is when the day's over, when we go over there, and I'm not going to make an issue of it with Ryan. I didn't figure he would bring it up, and we would. Anyway, so we have a successful Christmas evening. And I'm like, you know what? I can go back home. I'll go back to my parents. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want her to be confused. So I'll go back to my parents. But I was definitely not in a good place. And I couldn't stay there. I absolutely couldn't stay there. I mean, I could have, but I mean, that was over. Like, because I couldn't, my brother and I, that wasn't going to be the last time if I stayed. And it was clear. And I didn't have anybody to go to. And at this point, I've got bipolar, and I'm a train wreck. I can't make a decent decision to save my life, and clearly hadn't been able to do it for a while. And so I just stayed in my room all day. I'm sorry, this was Christmas Eve that happened, and then because I'm in my room all day Christmas Day. I'm in my room all day Christmas Day. Didn't come out to eat. Didn't come out to go to the bathroom. Nothing. I was in there for 24 hours. I was sad. I was mad. It was bad. And so the next day, I like get a shower, pack a bag, and I'm like, tell my dad to drive me to the city. I can't stay here. And he's like, where are you going to go? I'm like, there's a shelter in Oak Park. I'm going to the shelter. I can't live here. My life is, like I just don't care anymore, and I don't want to be here. And so, I mean, I think he saw that there wasn't anything he'd do about it. And I had my mind set on, I couldn't be there anymore, and I didn't have anybody where I could turn. So, I'll figure it out. And so I went to the shelter, and yeah, so I was there for, anyway, it's a good place to stop. If you want to swing back to the dating app question a little bit, we could do that.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing this. I don't know if you've been or you have had the chance to share this deeply and open before, but I really appreciate this because I can figure how hard this is for you. But at the same time, I know that this can help many people. And honestly, it's really good to know who Reps is, to see the man that we know now and know everything that you've been through makes everything possible, So thank you so much for sharing. And if you need a break,
No, I'm good. And
you're good.
yeah, and when I would tell this story on stage or whatever, I wouldn't quite go that deep with some of the personal stuff. But I mean, I'm comfortable sharing this. I mean, I just haven't done it for a while, so it's a little hard. Kim says, if you're in need of help, text hello to 741-741 to speak to a counselor, free and confidential. If you don't want to text and you want to call somebody, Mark, you're very welcome.
Thank you, everyone that is here following. Thank you so much.
If you want to talk to somebody as opposed to texting somebody, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Then you can call the suicide hotline, and you don't have to be suicidal. You can just be depressed. They'll talk to you.
Exactly.
If you need somebody to talk to, you've got those resources. So,
can I ask you a couple questions about what you were saying? If you, so that's what I'm telling you. Like, if you need a break, we change topic.
No, I'm good. Just drink a little sip of coffee, and I'm fine.
Good. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to know how, when you went to your dad to tell him, drive me to this place, I can't live here anymore. What was going through your mind, knowing that you were coming from a family lifestyle, you had a daughter? How was that? How was facing that moment, like knowing that you had a daughter and you were going to this place? Yeah.
Well, at that point, I was at I was at a place that I fear, which is where I really didn't care anymore, or was close to not caring. So I just, you know, I just needed out. I had nowhere to go. Um, so I don't think I was really thinking about it. The reason that I knew about the shelter system is because I'd done a little bit of limited video work or something with them. So I had a connection there, but I mean, I didn't use that connection or anything, but I mean, I knew who they were, and it, and I'm still friends to this day with the executive director. And one of these days, we're going to do some work together, and um, just to kind of make this not quite so depressing, I tell people, though I wouldn't wish homelessness on anyone, I would go through it all 1,000 times over and over and over and over again to be where I am today. You know, my being homeless reset my path. Don't reset your path that way. I recommend, but it reset your path. So, you know, here I am getting to talk to you and everything I've done along the way to get me here.
Yeah.
Even, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Sometimes I always say the same. Doesn't matter what kind of situation or what kind of experience, all everything that is a struggle for a person is important. There's levels of a struggle, but that's based on the other people's experiences. But I think sometimes we need to fall and get lost and get out of the track to see the picture and find ourselves or find the path again. I'm not saying that I'm glad that you being homeless was the way that you have to get to that point. But if that's what happened, if that's what you get from that, I'm happy. If that makes sense,
Makes total
that
sense. Yeah, of course.
you get that from that tough situation. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
It makes
So you can keep
makes total sense.
telling.
Um, I was going to say that made me think of a couple of things, but let's see. We'll go into a little bit of the very interesting things about being homeless. So, and listen,
What
there's
changed in your
various,
life?
yeah, and there's various levels of homelessness. There's various levels of falling down the rabbit hole, slipping into oblivion, you know, hitting rock bottom. Like I used to say when I was talking about this a lot, take the first rock bottom. When you hit it, take that one. Crawl out of that hole. Don't go to the next one or the next one, because those are just deeper and harder. Try when you hit that first place that's rock bottom. Try to get out of it. Hope the universe helps you, because it just gets harder and harder. And but there was a lot of good that came out of being homeless. And this was the winter where it was Snowmageddon in Chicago. So February 1st comes around. I've been in the system for about a month. And just like HAPS, you know, after you've been around for a month, you know a lot. You know how the system works. And, you know, these systems in suburban Chicago area are, you go to a different shelter each night. They do them like in a church basement or whatever, because to be honest, the rich white people don't want homeless people in a shelter in their community. So they have you, you know, go a different place every night.
Wow.
But it's a great system, and I'm very appreciative of it to this day. So the but the good things, some of the good things. Well, so like, I mean, you're getting the long form here. Like this is, now we're getting into like where I'll tell a friend or somebody. But I mean, you know, so if you guys want to tune into something else and come back, you know, sorry, wait,
Yeah.
it's your show. No, Nope, stay here. Stay here. It's Anna's show. Sorry. You can always leave my show if you want, but don't leave Anna's.
Stay here. Don't leave me.
So so one of the just there's just so many interesting things that were opportunities that were made for me. But the one of the things I want to say is that when you become homeless, from my experience and the experience of other homeless people, and I've talked to a lot of homeless people over the years, one of the things that happens is you kind of start to feel invisible. In fact, my friend Mark has a group called Invisible People, but that he does videos on homeless people and stuff like that. But and he's great. My God, he's amazing. So you begin to feel invisible. So I'm like walking in the town that I had been previously living in, a few months before, and I mean I knew people, and people at the Starbucks knew me and everything, but I didn't feel like I could be seen at all, and I didn't really look that different. My beard hadn't grown long yet, and I think I was probably, I don't know if I was shaving it or not. I probably wasn't, but no, I'm sure I wasn't. And eventually my beard got to be like this long, it was like hillbilly beard, So there's a picture somewhere on there. I'll post it up on my Twitter if you guys want to see it. But
yay, we love that.
Yeah, so you don't feel like you're being seen. My good friend from Twitter, who we're still friends to this day, who I became friends at that time, Rhonda will say, she said, it took me about a day and a half. She said it was within the first 15 minutes for her of being in a battered women's shelter. That's when she felt unseen. So, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but that's kind of a place that you get to. And so that sucks. I was going to go the cheery route. So, and don't say, okay. So Snowmageddon is coming, and I was on Twitter prior to being homeless, and I was like vehemently, like on the jerk level. Think, backside and the hole in the ground. Put those two things together. That kind of guy about atheism. I was angry. And now I'm an agnostic, and that's for another. I'll explain that on my program sometime or something. But I had quite a few followers that followed me, and one of the great things about my ex-wife was she kept paying for my iPhone while I was homeless because she wanted to be able to stay in touch with my daughter, right? So she kept paying for that. So that kept me on Twitter, and I started to tweet about being homeless, and people again were like, we've been following you for years. Like, well, I think Twitter came out, 2007, so 2 or 3 years. Why are you, how can you possibly homeless? Like, you're a middle-aged guy, like, you're a white guy in America, like, you're not an alcoholic. But I didn't know I had mental illness at that point. That would come through the systems that help homeless people. But at that time I didn't know what was going on. And, but one of the things I thought about when I was there, we were spending our days at the library because the library is available. So I'm like, I'm going to learn French. This will be cool. I got all this free time. Now I have a learning disability in written language. So languages are really difficult for me, but I'll learn French. This will be fun, And being homeless is a full-time job, like being depressed is a full-time job. You're not motivated to learn French, for God's sakes, right? I'm not,
you didn't. Yeah, sorry. You didn't know by that time that you were bipolar or anything like that, right?
Right.
You didn't know it. Okay.
No, I didn't have really any idea. I didn't even really handle that I was depressed. I mean, my ex-wife would sometimes come down to the basement where I would be printing my photos and stuff like that. And she'd be like, you've been down here for like 2 weeks. Like, your productivity's down, you're depressed. I'm like, no, I'm fine. So, but anyway, there's a family that comes to the shelter, and it's a mom an autistic boy and a teenage girl. Again, I don't want to actually. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to find out the kids' names, but anyway, I won't say anybody's name, but the girl was snowstorm was coming and she had like tennis shoes on or something. And first of all, it's horrible to see a family in a shelter. But her mom was one pair of boots and they were going to like the Payless shoe store or something like that. And she could buy her a pair of boots, but all the boots that she could afford were like made of leather. I mean, these are just cheap, Payless store boots.
Yeah.
There weren't actually any plastic boots that that Paige at least liked, and so she didn't have any boots. And I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. I'm going to tweet out there that I need boots. So I'm like, and I mentioned her name, but anyway, I'm like, you need a pair of boots. What do you want? Your mom's not getting you what you want. What do you want? We'll find you a pair of boots. She's like, well, I need vegan boots. I'm like, well, what vegan boots? Like, how would your boot be vegan? You're a vegan, but how's your boot going to be a vegan? Explain that to me. And she says, well, just no animal products. I'm not going to wear animal products on my feet. I'm like, yeah, but your feet are going to be cold. You need to wear, animal products are fine. They're already dead. You didn't kill it. And she's like, no, I'm not wearing shoes with leather. I'm like, okay, all right. So I get on Twitter and I type in there, homeless girl in Chicago shelter. I mean, it's probably still out there somewhere, but something like that. Needs vegan boots.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Doubt I had too much room to explain much more. And I mean, it wasn't but within a few minutes. And this is at the library now I'm doing this. I mean, I could have gone on Twitter on my phone, but I distinctly remember sitting in front of the computer and being on the web interface. And somebody will tell me they didn't have a web interface then. And okay, then fine. I was on my phone because you can't really remember these things. But I think it was on the computer, but that's not really relevant. Although I do know what I was watching. I'd been watching some anime. It's funny how I remember things. I can even tell you what I was watching and probably the episode. But anyway, and within just a few minutes, thank you, Let It Be, for subscribing to Anna's channel.
Thank you for subscribing. I'm so excited.
Has a theme song, Anna. Anybody that comes to my show can have a theme song when they come in the room, and I need one for Anna, so you can pick one. But Let It Be is easy because hold on, let me get a drink.
I forgot to do that because I've been doing that this past month. Like every time that someone comes to my show, I've been introducing them with a song. I didn't do it with you. Okay, we'll use a song for the goodbye.
Very good.
For the
closing. So Let It Be is easy because you can just go, let it be. So anyway, hey, Let It Be.
No, I will play in Spotify. I'm not going to sing.
So where was I? Oh, yeah. So Abby Likes on Twitter. She's probably still there. She tweets back, what size?
Wow.
Like, really? Wow. Cool. And she's in Chicago. So I don't know. I don't know what size she is. So I'm like, find another homeless person or whatever, go find so-and-so and see if you can find out what, And I literally asked somebody to do it because at this point, like, my personality, like people jokingly call me like the mayor of Haps, like I was the mayor of homeless people at that point because people would come to me for their needs. I mean, I'm educated. Like they tried to deny me a food stamp card. I know because I was still kind of well-dressed and a middle-aged white man and the woman just didn't believe me that I needed it. A totally different story there. But because she was air typing on the keyboard when she said she was typing my stuff in. So she clearly wasn't typing my stuff in. But anyway, and I said to her, is that some kind of new magic keyboard where you don't touch the keys? And she humphed and she typed in, but she still didn't type in the right stuff because I had to go back 2 weeks later and like, no, we don't have you in the system. I'm like, oh, really? So anyway, but okay, find the right size. Abby, we're probably DMing at this point, and she's gonna be bringing. She's gonna send her husband to go find some vegan boots, and he comes back. I guess we're communicating back and forth, and he's found a couple of pairs, and they're like, well, where should we bring these? And I'm like, well, let's meet at there's a company, I don't even know if they're in business anymore, but it was called Caribou Coffee. And they're like, is there anything else she likes or needs or whatever? And I'm like, I think the boots are pretty generous. You know what I mean? You guys don't have to do anything else. And so anyway, we get to Caribou Coffee, and he's like, does she like anything? I'm like, well, I know she likes lattes and stuff. She likes coffee. So he bought her like a $25 gift card from the coffee place, 2 pairs of shoes, and it's pretty funny actually. I get there all excited about the shoes, and her mom had found a pair of vegan boots. So she actually had boots, and now she had 2 pairs of boots and a pair of shoes. But the fact is that somebody answered. This is before crowdfunding even existed. Somebody answered my tweet, to get this young woman some boots. And she, in fact, had this brother who was autistic. So the next thing I did was he liked these toys. I think they were called Bionicles or something. They were some kind of like action figure or something. I can't really remember. But with his autism, it was really hard for him that was one of the few things that would kind of keep him calm and focused. And he had lost some or whatever, obviously becoming homeless. So I got out on there again, and I'm like, does anybody, can anybody buy a couple of Bionicle toys, and I'll get them to him. And I think 3 people bought them and had them shipped. I actually had them shipped to my ex-wife's, and then somebody else dropped some off. And so at that point, I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. I can start getting stuff for people." And in there somewhere, it was actually before Paige's boots. I had put a tweet out there that said my boots had holes in them, and does anybody know where I could get a pair of boots? Because like Tom's does shoes for people. There's surely somebody can give boots to homeless people. And people said, I'm like, does anybody have any source? And nobody could come up with a free source. People said, try the church things that they have or whatever. And like, I don't want to put on somebody else's boots, smelly boots. So
I want my boots.
Huh?
You wanted your boots, new ones.
I wanted my own boots.
Of course.
But nobody could come up with anything. And so in this process, because I think the boots arrived long after Paige's boots, because I have a friend at Pinkelstein in Australia, and she wanted to buy me boots. And I'm like, you can't buy me boots. Like, no. Like, I have a size 14 boot. You're just not going to be able to buy some cheap off-the-rack boot. It's going to be an expensive boot. And no, I'm not going to let somebody just buy me a pair of boots. So I think eventually she just told a bit of a white lie and said that she got some other people to pitch in. But at that time, you couldn't buy boots at the REI from Australia because I know I'm getting into the weeds here, but because of the way credit cards work. So anyway, she gets a check to my ex-wife, and I buy a pair of boots, and I have a pair of boots. And in fact, I had those boots. You want to see how crazy this is? I had those boots for a long time, and when I wanted another pair of boots, I bought another pair just like them. So I kind of considered them my homeless boots. And I had them up until last year, and they were really worn out. The soles were worn out, and I put them out in the trash. And I'm telling you, not a half a day later, there's a homeless person with this big shopping cart and pile of stuff. And you know what I see? My boots.
Wow.
They found my boots in the trash. So my boots didn't go to the trash. They're living a life, with a homeless person. I don't know.
They were having a second chance.
But yeah, exactly. Second chance boot sale. So, so all of these things became what would eventually become what I was calling, small things matter. So small things could make a big difference in somebody's life. So one of the next things, go ahead, Anna.
No, I just wanted to say that that's so true. So true. And it's just like a small look. I'm going to share this. Because I feel really identified with the boots thing. The other day there was, so once a week with the leftovers that we have in the fridge, if no one is gonna eat those, I just pack them and just drive around, because I'm in Los Angeles, so unfortunately there's plenty of homeless people, and since COVID hit, it's just crazy. So I just go and drive around and give other, like, these people, I give them some food. And the other day I was like, well, I have this bolognese container on my in the fridge that no one else is gonna eat. What if I warm up some pasta and put the bolognese and a piece of bread, like a slice of bread, and a bottle of water? Like, hey, tonight is like more special, instead of just a sandwich. Just the face of that dude when I went to him with a warm plate of pasta. I know that that changed his life, like his day, his week, and everything. He had hope of people that it's able to help them. So I know how that feels, and it's a huge change. Just like this small, detail. It took me
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes, 2 minutes of my life to make other people a different their day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super cool. I want to say though, how cool it is that you were homeless and everything you were doing is help other people that was in your situation when you had the same tools as they. You know what I mean? You were more worried about helping all these people than just you getting out of that situation, right? So I just think that it's awesome. Oh my god, thank you so much.
The
So yeah, please keep sharing. I'm in
well,
love
I
with this
appreciate that you guys are
conversation.
all still listening. Uh, yeah. So the next guy we help, his name is Steve, and Steve would have no problem with me talking about him. So Steve was an alcoholic. He lost his wife to cancer, had huge medical debt, which is just ridiculous in this country, that there's such a thing as medical debt. And he'd been, since his wife died, and he'd just been going downhill. And of course, I didn't learn all this until I met him when he became homeless. But yeah, this job, and he lost this one job that it was like a full time job, but it wasn't the job in his career, but it was the job that was keeping his mortgage paid
Hmm.
and probably supplying booze for him or whatever. But he was struggling, but he was making it, and he broke his glasses, and he can't see, without his glasses. Like, he had to drive the cars out of the car wash bay and over to the area where you dry them off or whatever, and he couldn't do that. And there was stuff that he can do. The boss was like, "I can't have you work here. You're dangerous." And this
Wow.
boss was actually, he was kind of close to him. And so he lost his job, lost his house, he's homeless. So at this point, I'm like, Steve walked by me in the um, vestibule of the library. I remember where it was. And I said, "Steve, like, come here, man. Everybody's heard I'm getting stuff for people online." I'm like, "What do you need?" Like, I mean, I can get anything right now, right? I mean, people just send me stuff. So what do you need, dude? And this is magical. And he's like, "Well, I could use a pair of glasses." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "If I could get those glasses back, I could get my job back." And I'm like,
Wow.
"You need a pair of glasses to get your job back?" And then he tells me the story that I just told you. And so I got on there, and lo and behold, I'm pretty sure it was Abby Likes, but Abby Likes actually gets a bed and furniture for the family, by the way, who got out, and they're fine to this day. Uh, the young girl has graduated college, they were never homeless again. And that wasn't me. That was a lot of people. And then, public services and stuff that help. But a lot of us help them get those services, including the people at the shelter. But so they're doing fine. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, so I went on there, and I'm like, I need a pair of glasses. I just need like 10 people. Oh, I know. I said, "Where can I get cheap glasses online?" Like, what's the way to get cheap glasses? I didn't know anything about glasses. And somebody said, oh, well, you get like 2 pair at America's Best for, let's say it was $100 or $60, whatever the number was. And I'm like, I need 10 people to give me $10 to get a pair of glasses for a guy. A couple of people sent me $10 and to my PayPal. And then again, I'm pretty sure it was Abby Likes, but it could have been somebody else. And somebody just shot me out like $120 or whatever. And
Wow.
And said, get the guy some glasses. So he went down, he had his eye appointment, and they said they'd be ready in 2 days. No, they said they'd be ready Friday. And this is Monday or something. But he calls the guy that he worked for and he's like, hey, you still got an opening down there? And he's like, yeah, you can come back. And he's like, well, listen, this guy on the internet bought me a pair of glasses and they're coming on Friday. And the boss was like, what? He's like, no, seriously. I'm going to have glasses. It'll be, I'm really getting glasses. They've been paid for by like a fundraiser on the internet. And the guy's like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, just let me come Wednesday so I can start getting to work. So he did work on Wednesday, but he's like, has to reinforce with this guy that there's some guy getting stuff for people on the internet. Anyway,
Who is that?
We got his job back. And the truth of the matter is Steve was an alcoholic. So it wasn't just that job that he needed. And he stumbled more and we stayed with him. And he eventually kind of worked his way back, but it was a long road. So those glasses didn't solve all of his problems, but they got him a job back that he should have never lost because
that's really sad.
Well, and here's the thing about homelessness. For every $1 you spend to keep somebody from being homeless, you're going to spend an equivalent of $15 to get them not to be homeless. So it's much more effective and efficient to help somebody on the not homeless side than the homeless side. Yeah. So if he'd have been able, and I mean, I'm not saying this system could be there, but let's say somebody's transmission goes out on their car and they have a good job, but they can't pay for the transmission. And then they lose their job. They can't, afford their apartment or whatever. But if somebody had just fronted them the money for the transmission, they would have kept their job and never been homeless and cost the government money and everything. And I'm not saying there's an easy solution and that we should give everybody who has a transmission going out money to fix it, but the system's really broken. And so I was doing that, and wow, we've been on for over an hour. So then,
oh no worries.
That went really well, and I just made a ton of connections. I got some notoriety, some local press from what I was doing, and I can't remember. I think it was my friend Megan Carberry, who was a TV news analyst and a professor and stuff, and we met and we're friends. I don't know, Megan, would you? I don't think Megan would care. So yeah, here's what this homeless guy still did while he was homeless he was still on dating apps.
Wow, that's super cool.
I swipe. Do I have a homeless relationship story that, it's definitely not for today, but anyway, Megan and I swiped on each other. We met at a park. There was no match, but there was a friend match, like a strong friend match. And so anyway,
did she know you were homeless?
At that time, no. So, okay. But she would eventually. But where was I going with Megan? I'm actually surprised that I haven't forgot where I was. But what happens is I start to think about stuff in the past, and then it throws me off. But so we're trying to get to a little bit of a wrap up here. So I eventually met Dr. Dominica McBride, where we've been together for 8 years. I was there at the beginning, but I'm not a founder. I helped her start it, but I'm not a founder. It's her baby. we've created literally new fields in a specific field of work called evaluation within a framework of culturally responsive evaluation, and we've created something called a culturally responsive practice. In fact, some of the things that I utilize in my journey to bring people of color, Black and brown people, to this platform as student journalists and journalists, and to try to help these guys change um, journalism over, on its face, and get journalism going in marginalized communities where it's never done well anyway, and local citizen journalists and all these things that I'm working on. A big reason why I'm on this platform, and that lines up a lot with that. And so and I was still homeless when we met, but I was living in a more of a semi-permanent shelter at that time. But if you're couch surfing right now and you have nowhere to go and you have no lease signed and you have no job, you're homeless. You just happen to be staying at maybe somebody that you know. You're homeless just as much as I was homeless. I just didn't have a place to be inside, right? But I mean, there's millions and millions of homeless people. And especially there's tens of millions of people right now, 40 or 50 million people that are one paycheck away from homelessness, right? But so anyway, there's a lot more to that story, but I'll let you ask some questions if you want. But but eventually, we helped a lot of people in that, and I really, honestly, when I have the financial means, or I can get somebody to back it, because with everything I'm doing, I don't have time to run it. But I want to do that. Small things matter, and I want to identify people that have a small need, and they can, fill out a grant form or something, and we can assess what, whether they really need it or not, but as best we can, and we can give money away. So if anybody wants to give me like $10 million, I'll start that tomorrow. Want to give me $100,000, I'll start that tomorrow. And it'll just be on a different level than if you give me 10 million. So if anybody wants to give me $10 million, I've got a good idea. I've actually got several, but that one will work. So anyway, but you won't make, the only profit you're going to get is the satisfaction of doing good. So
Exactly.
anyway, yeah, like I got into at first the YMCA. Yeah, I never thought of that way. My sis was couch surfing for a while. Exactly, Dean. I remember when credit cards were for things like that, trans going out. Exactly. Sue, sure glad I had one more than a few times. So
Thank you for following. Thank you both for talking about these important topics. Thank you guys for following and supporting and being here. Thank you.
By the way, just to be a VIP on this platform, roughly have to have 5 of your most recent broadcasts have 500 viewers or more. You're at 570. Well, that might not quite be right because of the way it's counted. We'll have to stay a little longer. Hold on. Well, actually, you're at 266. It's a little confusing, but anyway, you're well on the road. We'll get you there. So I'm
get there.
I'm in the YMCA for a while. If people are familiar with the YMCA, they would have like a small room, just barely big enough to fit like a double bed, a chest of drawers, and like a built-in closet. Not very big, but big enough. No bathroom or shower. That was all, wasn't public because you were on, a floor where the public couldn't get to, but you know what I mean? It was a public shower, public toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And then I was eventually in what's called, I was in permanent supportive housing for a couple of years and I actually had a grant that would have kept me in that apartment for the rest of my life, really, if I'd wanted to. But one of the interesting things that happened in that case was eventually when we started doing the nonprofit work and we started paying ourselves, I actually made too much money and I didn't qualify for that anymore. But I didn't qualify for, I couldn't afford to pay for an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to tell the people in the shelter program, you got to tell them what you're making. And I mean, you can find it in my taxes. So, well, I wouldn't lie and I couldn't lie. And so like, yeah, well, we can keep you on the program for a couple of months, but you're going to have to find a place to go. And again, that's another story because we actually did some creative things that helped somebody else out for a while, but I don't want to be held liable for that. So we're going to be quiet about that. So, but needless to say, I was able to help somebody out with that. So, yeah. So then I was able to get out on my own. I was starting to make some money. I met my now wife.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little
And
bit
everything.
we had a little bit of an accident. We got pregnant, and here we are. And that's why I have a 7-year-old and an 18-year-old. I hope that story sounded somewhat. Hello, Tony D. I hope that story sounded somewhat
Hello.
cohesive, but I didn't get to tell, and I do actually want to take a couple of minutes to tell the story of how being homeless really opened my eyes to mental health and why it's another thing that I am 100% behind, which is destigmatizing mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So the program
That
that got me in.
we'll do a broadcast about it because in 1 week I'm gonna do a broadcast in Spanish, talking with this friend of mine. She has, how do you say in English? ADHD,
ADHD.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she's also bipolar. So we are gonna talk about it, and I would love to have another one in English with you to talk
Mhm.
about all these things because I think it's really, really, really important.
Well, yeah, let's do that. And I'll just give a quick summary of it then. But I found out that I had these issues and was able to get really good services through Medicaid. And it took a lot of years of therapy. And I still have a long way to go, but I'm doing decent now anyway, at least until COVID. But this platform has certainly helped a lot. But yeah, I would love to tell that story, and that'll give people a reason to watch again. But my transformation from homelessness to even where I am now, very dependent on that path of I don't want to say overcoming, but being able to manage somewhat my bipolar. And that's a direct result of the homelessness. And that is actually a long story too. So I'm glad. Thank you. Because we'll tell that story. And again, there's just no reason to stigmatize people for mental health. It's just your effing brain, for God's sakes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's no different than heart disease. It's no different than kidney disease. It's no different than lung disease. It's your brain. It has a problem. See a doctor if you can,
And if
try to
we
get some
have
help.
more information, we can know how to treat and manage our relationship with people that has mental illness. I think in my experience, I wish I would have told when my dad got sick with depression. I wish back on when I was 13 or 14, someone has approached me and tell me, hey guys, to me and my siblings, this is what you have to do. This is how you have to manage this. Da, 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 da. Because fortunately, we are a great team and we are strong, but that could have ended up in a break in my family, just not having information about a mental illness and not knowing how to treat that person or being aware of how to manage that relationship. Just that short amount of information can change everything. So I think it's so important that you brought it up. Thank you. Thank you for the award. Oh, thank
Hey,
you.
Pablo.
Hey, Pablo.
And actually, Anna, just so you know, it's easier if you think you've missed, some awards because they scroll through there. You see where the number 11 is up there by the heart and the spotlights in the upper left corner where it says live chats? Click on
Yes.
that, and then you can just thank those people that have given you awards.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So you can find it if you
I'm
missed
new on
one.
this app, guys.
I'm not. I'm a veteran. I've been here for 8 weeks. Oh, it's 9 maybe. Oh, 70 days today. 70 days.
Wow.
70 days in a row.
Happy
And I'd been here a
70-day
couple weeks before
anniversary
that.
for you.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Um, I guess someday. Oh man, I mean, there's the whole story of Starbucks and homelessness. If you Google me, there's a great story there. If you Google Revolution McInnes, Twitter 140, and maybe New York or something, should come up with my speech at the Twitter 140 thing at the 95th Street YMCA back in 2011, I think, summer 2011. And I was still 11 too when I was speaking at that event. And I mean, Jack Dorsey was there, Deepak Chopra was there, all these very famous people were there, and
Wow.
then there was me, and some other people too, because they had all kinds of people from Twitter. But that was really cool. That was a neat experience, and I've made some great connections to this day from that. I'm good at connecting people and being a connector. So we'll see.
Wow. You're gonna forgive me right now? Okay, never mind. That's awesome. And then from then you went out of that situation and just start working again and to where you are at now. Wow.
I mean, maybe someday is somebody want to read my memoirs and I can tell you all those details in between. Chris has got something there.
Yeah. What is the simplest and best thing people can do to help homeless? That's a great question.
It is a great question, Chris, and I appreciate that. What is the
Thank you.
simplest and best thing people can do to help the homeless? The simplest? That's tough, but I can think about that a little bit. What everybody should do to help with homelessness is in the damn stigma, is find the political will to put people in houses. It ain't that hard, okay? It costs billions of dollars for people to live on the street, but everybody in a damn house for way less than the Defense Department budget. We have to wake up to the fact that people are going to be housed that'll never work. People are going to be housed that are going to stay alcoholics and they're going to stay narcotic addicts. It's hard to beat that stuff. So we have to get past this idea that, we're going to put you in some kind of housing and we don't want you to be a bum. Some people are not going to be able to change their situation enough, and they're going to be dependent on society to survive, and they deserve a damn place to be. So, and what we want to do is change the will of the people to say homelessness is BS, and we need to get people housed first. Then we fix the problem. There are too many systems out there where it's like, well, if you get clean, we'll give you a place. If you can pee in this cup, we'll let you stay in your place. Well, they can't, because you can't equate treatment and safe housing together. That's just total crap. So if you want to change it, it's not simple, but if you want to change it, it's called political will. That's all it is. It's just money. You throw it at it, you solve the problem. Within 3 months, you give me enough money, I could put 90% of homeless people in a home. The other 10% would be tough because they're going to have other issues. But yeah, you give me enough money, I'll get 90% of everybody in a home. But we need the will and the goddamn, excuse me for swearing on your platform, empathy for people.
So now, me as a politician or someone with power, you told me that. Imagine what I love, what you just said, and I share 100%. I want to be clear on that. But now I tell you, okay, so maybe that situation what it's going to make is that people is not going to feel the need of getting out of that homeless situation. What you tell me? What you answer to that?
Say it again.
So many people, when you put these thoughts and these arguments out loud, they say, well, if you treat homeless people that way, they are not going to feel the need of getting out of that situation.
Oh yeah, that's crap.
So what will be your answer to the people that say that?
Yeah, well, it's just not statistically true. The majority of people that are homeless have a job. They just need a place to live, so they're on a couch somewhere. On the street, people homeless it's a big number. It's not that big a number. 500,000 people, maybe. I don't know. LA, maybe 70,000. I don't know. But I mean, even if it's 1 million people, I can do the math. We can house them. And most of those people will get jobs. Some of them have mental health issues. They won't be able to get a job. Some of them have, addiction problems. They won't be able to get a job. And it's just not true. People want to work. People want to contribute. If they didn't, nobody would. It's part of being human. It's part of being about a community. This issue is extremely simple. When Chris was asking for the simplest and best thing you could do, it's extremely simple. You put people in houses. Then you go back in there, knock on their door, and it's like, how can I help you get a job? You need an education? Great. You need to get off the smack, the heroin? Great. But you're not going to lose your house. And you got electricity and you got meals. Everybody has a right to that across the planet. And in what used to be the best country in the world, it should be a no-brainer. So, yeah.
So then there's a problem with housing, with rent.
Mm-hmm.
Huge problem that should change.
Well, the problem is, from that perspective, I mean, the problem is it's just the will to put people into houses and understand that some of them are never going to be able to pay the rent. And so you got to find another way to do it. And that, most people will be able to get a job and have a good life. And maybe they'll even be able to get a bigger place. I'm not asking to give folks, the Taj Mahal here, a room. If you got kids, 3 bedrooms, basic, stuff, nothing fancy. I'm not asking, for mansions for people, just a damn roof over their head. So,
you now have the chance to tell people how they can help homeless, any kind of homeless situation or level. Which ways we can help the best?
Well, aside from what I just ranted on, it's pretty funny. Basics like you're doing, helping out a group of people or some people with some food is nice. I want to say too that most panhandlers, so people that beg for money in America, are not homeless. And I've only met in my homeless experience a couple of panhandlers that were a couple of homeless people that were hardcore panhandlers. Some people are asking for, change, but panhandlers are not usually homeless, and homeless people usually don't panhandle. So, giving a homeless addict, I got a guy here. I've been trying forever to get him into housing, and he's just got a lot of issues, and he's he's a pretty good thief. So he survives okay. And so I give him $20. Since COVID, I probably give him $20 every other day, probably. And I don't know what he's addicted to, but he's not spending $20 a day on his insulin. It's not. He's just not. He's buying something. He's addicted to something. It's obvious.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people are like, well, why are you giving that guy $20 to, satisfy his snack habit or whatever? Because he knows that I don't do it every time because he knows me well. But in that moment when between the high and the actual low where he's looking for money again, think about trying to find some help. And I'm happy to help you if you do. Because to deny somebody their addiction, it just doesn't make any sense, because they're going to steal, they're going to rob, they might hurt somebody, they're going to do whatever they need to do to fulfill that need that they have. And so my philosophy is, if you're an alcoholic and you come up to me and you're on the street and you're like, dude, I need a few bucks to get a sandwich. Okay, let's go get you a sandwich. Oh, well, wait, no. I mean, no, I would like to have cash. Oh, so you're not really hungry. I get that. That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you need? I mean, I just need, no. I'm like, what do you need the money for? And like, they're ready to just tell me to move along. And I'm like, no, just seriously, I was homeless. Just tell me what you need the money for. And it's like, I need a drink. And I'm like, okay, let's go buy you some. But what do you drink? Let's go buy it for you. And so we can talk, right? And we can talk about their situation, and I can hopefully, say some things that will maybe help them find a path to recovery with this brief little meeting with somebody. Find some booze, right? People are like, oh my God, that's horrible. Look, person's addicted to alcohol. Do you want them around smashing the windows of the liquor store that night because they want a bottle? Or, do you want them, to have a few, maybe a day of not having to hustle for booze, and then maybe being able to go down to the department of such and such and start to get some help? It's just, it's so counterintuitive, I think, to do that. But to me, it's what makes sense. And I learned that lesson long before I was homeless, actually. But yeah.
That's a really interesting point. I've been with the homeless situation and working on different projects for a few months now. Well, I have had them on my mind for quite a long time, and I'm now finally being able to put them in practice. And I never consider that point of, because for example, in my case, I don't like to give them money. I rather give them something that I know that it's going to be useful for them. I know that money is useful, but I don't know what are they going to use that money for, and I don't want to contribute to any kind of drug dealing or anything like that. But at the same time, makes sense. What are you saying? Wow, that's right. Wow, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing
Well,
that.
yeah. I'm going to refresh my screen because I'm blurry. I don't know if I blurred everybody else. So I'm going to come right back.
Okay.
For
You're good
Oh, wait,
now.
I'm back. Okay, it's good.
You're back.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm not telling everybody that, that they need to do that, but I just want you to think about it, right? I mean, if you're an addict, your whole life, especially with heroin or something like that, your whole day is spent chasing the heroin. So you're not going to get in any kind of program. You're not going to look for supportive services. You're just looking for your next fix. So if I can give somebody the opportunity, like I do with this gentleman, when I see him earlier in the day, he's not going to run and get his stuff. He's got a bit of a routine, but maybe he'll take my advice one day and he's like, Revolution. And I can't promise I can get him in any place, but I mean, I can get him to people that can, and at least give him a chance. And I ask him, not every time because we see each other every day. I know where he hangs out. And I try to get to know all the homeless people in the neighborhood. I can't give everybody $20. I can't afford to give Hector $20 every day, but since COVID, it's just been horrible because his panhandling has been, atrocious since COVID. And the woman that sells the local street vendor newspaper, her situation has been, her business is down 90%. So these people, you think people are suffering? Yeah, the people that were suffering before are suffering even worse. So, yeah. So there you go. That's my perspective on some things.
Wow, Rev. First of all, I want to tell you, has been amazing to know your story. You're a really good friend of mine, and I didn't know your story yet. But also because I knew that I was going to interview you at some point, and I just wanted to be surprised. I just wanted to be, genuine on that and know the less of you until this moment.
Yeah, it's much. Don't go too deep in your pre-interview, or you won't have any spontaneity. So you're exactly right about that.
Exactly. So thank you for everything you've shared and everything you. I'm just wow, Rev. I'm so glad to have you in my life. I'm telling you.
I'm glad to have you in my life too.
You're really. I have no words. This is so inspiring. Just the fact that you were in that situation and you were trying to help other people out. That was in your situation. Um. Wow. It's just I have no words. It's crazy. It's really and of course we have to do another broadcast about mental health We have to do another broadcast about dating apps. We have
Mhm.
to do many things. The dating app thing was really funny, honestly.
Yeah.
That's something that I gotta tell. So you were homeless, but you were like, you know what?
I have a
I'm not gonna miss a
story
shot.
for the dating app story, and you should definitely have other people on there, but I was in a relationship with somebody that, yeah, I don't know, like, you might be able to figure out who that one is, but I'll change it around enough maybe that you can. But just needless to say, when I was homeless, I was in a relationship that with somebody that his family is very influential. Let's just say that. They've got a lot of money and power, and it was pretty funny. But but yeah. Anyway, I've just lived a very interesting life, so I'm lucky that way.
You would you change anything that had happened in your life?
No, I wouldn't be here where I am right now with you. I wouldn't have my son, I, I I wouldn't know Mark Goldman. I wouldn't know Chris. I wouldn't know Tony D. You know what I mean? Yeah, no way. I'd do it again. I wouldn't know Pablo. Yeah, I wouldn't know Peter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know any of you wonderful people. Now, I do it again and again and again to get here. Just nobody else do it. Um, yeah, but Chris, the simplest thing you can do is try to satisfy people's simplest needs to give them the opportunity to take care of their larger needs. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're homeless, you're not going to get unhomeless unless we give everybody a house or somebody gets to the place mentally where they can begin to help themselves. One of the things that I lacked when I was homeless was self love. Well, one of the things I thought I lacked was self love. But one of the things I learned on that journey was that, in fact, I did love myself. What I didn't do or couldn't see was that I did. You can't not love yourself. I don't think you survive. I think that's when you don't survive. But I think a lot of us don't recognize the love that we have for ourselves. So once I began to try to recognize the love that I had for myself, that's kind of what helped me begin my journey back. And that'd be different for everybody. But yeah, don't think that you don't love yourself. You do. Just find a path to seeing it. So.
Wow. That's so true. I love what you just shared. I love to end up the broadcast with that. But I first want to ask you, there's anything else that you want to say? If anyone has questions, please feel free. You want to say anything else, Rev?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I mean, I'm just looking forward to the coming back on the show. And I did want to say, if you're watching this in the audience, you're watching this on the replay, that Anna, for as long as I can keep her around, because she's going to be a star someday. I think she already is a star, to be honest with you. That she's going to be kind of an occasional co-host for me. When there's an interesting topic, especially if I need a woman, like when I did the interview with Manjeet Gill, and thank goodness Bobby Bicker showed up because we needed two women for that interview about period health and that kind of stuff. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for giving us the
Thank you,
platform.
Mark. Well, thank
And
you, everyone that has been following.
and what was I saying?
That I'm going to be your co host
Oh yeah,
sometimes.
sorry. Yeah, and then Anna's going to get good at this so fast that, like, when I decide I want an evening, to myself or with the family, or I want to go swim at the beach in the summer in Chicago in the evening when it's so beautiful, then Anna can just hopefully be available and just host for me some night. So
And I
yeah,
would love to. Oh my God.
yeah, of course, that's the plan. So, and
Wow.
then whatever you need, obviously, to help you on your show, I'm here for you. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the help. And thank you, Mark and Pablo, that have been following up with me to just in case I need anything to start the app. And thank you for the support and the words, Mark, you gave me the other day in that broadcast. I've watched that video 20 times. I feel grateful. I feel grateful for everyone that has been following and the subscribers. Again, this is going to be a show based in inspiring interviews. Thank you, Mark. So if you have a story that you feel that can motivate, can help other people, or you just want to share it, please DM me on Instagram, on Facebook. I will love to share your story and be part of that. And yeah, again, this is going to be English in Spanish. So this is for everyone. Thank you again. This is my first broadcast in Hubs, and I'm so excited. That has been an amazing conversation. Really, really inspiring. And I love you, Revs. You're the best. You
I love
rock.
you too. It's it's internet love. You just can't believe how fast it hits. But
Yeah.
it's hard and it lasts a long time. So this young lady and I are going to be friends forever. I know it.
Hmm.
Just like my
Yeah.
friends out there, We're
Yes.
lucky. We're lucky.
I'm looking forward for the next broadcast.
You too?
Dating apps. What about
All
that?
right. I'll be there.
I think many people will have stories to share.
Hmm.
All right. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Rev. I
Thank
just
you.
have to end the broadcast.
Well, how about I jump out and you do a little closing and tell folks, what's coming up next,
Okay.
and then we'll stay here after, do a little debrief, and we'll exit out too.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, guys. So again, thank you so much for being here and watching and following. I hope this helped any of you, and I hope that thank you, everyone. I'm so excited, and yeah. So this show is gonna be about inspiring interviews. So again, if you have a story that you want to share, please, I will contact me. I will love to have your story, Spanish and English. And tomorrow I'm gonna have one of my closest friends. She's from Spain, so the interview is gonna be in Spanish. And she's dancer and she's therapist for dancers, like PT therapist for dancers. So we are gonna talk about how important it is to take care of your body, and how important it is to listen to your body, and a few tricks and tips to get the best of you in terms of dance, and the best I don't know, work. I don't know. I have no words. I'm so excited. Anyway, I hope you like it. If you know Spanish, or if you want to learn Spanish, join me tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, Anna. What a great start. I'm so looking forward to your future broadcast. Thank you, Mark. Oh my God. Thank you so, so much. And thank you for the awards and for the support. So, guys, see you soon. Thank you. Yay. Again, thank you. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, so you won't miss anything. And subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of the interesting and great interviews that I have coming up. Bye, everyone. Have a great week. I love you.